So you got your PCS orders, you're coming out to Schofield and you're wondering, should I live on post, off post, and what is it even like living on post? Well, in this video, we're gonna cover everything that you need to know before you make that decision. We're gonna go over the pros and cons of living out here, the location, things to do, and much, much more. If you guys have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me, but let's jump into all these details right now. Let's jump into the location. Where is Schofield actually located? Well, it's gonna be located essentially in Mililani, right in between Mililani and Wahiawa. You're about 30 minutes from country, so that's gonna be the North Shore. So if you wanna experience some of the best surfing in the world or just see some beautiful beaches, the North Shore is only about 30 minutes. And if you have to go to Honolulu or to the airport, probably looking at about 45 minutes. Now, when it comes to weather out here, Hawaii is very interesting. It's either super hot and sunny or it's torrential downpour. Now, usually when it does rain, it comes and goes. It's a little bit warmer. We're here now in July, so you can see the grass. It's got a little bit of burn going on here, but during the winter time or when it's raining, it's definitely very lush and green. Let's talk about things to do out here on Schofield. Now, there's some things you can do on base and some things you can do off base. On base, you have a couple different options for entertainment. You, of course, have the bowling alley. You also have a couple different parks and recreation, especially if you got kids. There's basically a park in every single one of the housing neighborhoods. Additionally, there's a fitness center, multiple fitness centers actually. So if you want to get your cardio workout, just get a good pump on, you do have a few options when it comes to getting some fitness in. Additionally, especially on warm summer days, you need to cool off from that Hawaiian sun. They do have a pool that you can go enjoy for the entire community. If you want to get something a little bit more natural, again, you're only about 30 minutes from the North Shore, crystal clear blue waters. If you're either surfing, diving, or just doing some swimming, which is always extremely enjoyable. And then lastly, we do have just outside the gate over here, as I'm a big golfer, I have to drop this, Lele Hua, which is a great golf course, and you do get some military discounts. Now, when it comes to amenities, you do have a few of them here on base. Just behind me, you can see you got your PX. So if you want to get your GameStop fix, get some video games, get some clothes. They also have a couple of eateries inside. And then just on the opposite side here, I'm looking at the commissary. So again, for your tax-free needs, especially because out here in Hawaii, it's very expensive, you have plenty of options out here on Schofield. Some other amenities you have, which are very convenient on base, is you have a medical clinic for all your medical needs. You've got an elementary as well as a middle school. They also have, as I mentioned before, plenty of fitness centers, as well as plenty of eateries. We've got like a Subway, a Starbucks, Panda Express, a couple other things you can eat. There's some better food, not too many options, but there's actually a really good Mexican joint we might check out later, right off base. And yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up all the amenities. When it comes to the type of homes out here on Schofield, is you're gonna have a slew of different options. They've got duplexes, townhomes, as well as single family homes. They've got options for junior enlisted, senior enlisted, as well as officers. And the quality of the home is gonna range. You're gonna have some newer homes like the ones you're seeing behind me. Some great noticeable neighborhoods you definitely wanna look into is gonna be Kalakaua as well as Canopy. And then there's gonna be some other ones that are gonna be a bit older. So make sure you look into what your options are when you're coming out here. All right, guys, now the next thing I wanted to show you is, of course, the housing situation they have out here. Now, there's a couple things to keep in mind. You definitely want to get on the list as soon as possible because it can be difficult to get housing. The type of house you'll get will be dependent on your rank, whether you have any dependents or not, and they're going to decide on what kind of housing you're gonna get based on all of that information. Now, with that being said, we have exclusive access to actually one of my clients' place that is actually staying here before they PCS. Funny story, I helped him buy a place just down the street, and they were fortunate enough to be blessed with a new baby girl, so their family was growing, so they needed a place with more square footage. Now, because their VA was tied up, they didn't really have an option, but fortunately we found a creative strategy where they were able to rent their place out, build equity there, and then move on base so that they have more space for their family before they PCS. They're most likely gonna hold on to that property, let that equity build, but it was a great solution to get in on a property, build some equity, and then if you need more space, well, after a year, you're allowed to leave per the VA guidelines. So this was a great solution, but let's check out this beautiful property right behind me. Now, one thing that's always important when it comes to moving out here is how many vehicles you're bringing. HHG is gonna allow you to bring one vehicle, but you might be shipping multiple vehicles. I have a video right here that goes over the shipping process if you wanna look into that. But with that being said, it is nice that at least this housing area, there's some different ones that have different parking situations, but this one actually has a single car garage with tons of storage. always a bonus. And then you also have 2 pads, so you could actually put 3 cars in here, and there is some street parking. Now, I wouldn't bring your whole clan of cars, but it's good to know that you have some options. We are now inside this beautiful home. This is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Now, there are some properties that actually offer a bedroom on the bottom floor. This property actually has all 4 bedrooms upstairs. We're gonna start downstairs. So right when you enter, you'll see you have a nice little living room space. I've seen people use this space differently. I actually appreciate and like that they put the living room here compared to where the kitchen and the dining room area is. You also have a half bath right here, which is good when you have guests that are visiting and you don't want them going all the way upstairs. But let's take a look what we got down this way. As you walk through the corridor, this opens up into the dining room, also potentially could be a living room. I see a lot of people put their living room here, and the open concept kitchen. Really nice for when you're cooking, entertaining, kids are running around. As we can see, we've got a lovely baby girl that lives here. And then it also flows into the backyard. So it's nice that you have a lot of space inside, but also plenty of space outside. We're now outside taking up the summer sun, and that is something to keep in mind. Out here in Hawaii, it's either super beautiful and sunny or it is pouring down. And right now we are in the summer months. We are in July right now, and it's pretty warm out here, especially out here on Schofield. But you'll notice that the grass has seen better days, but during the rainy days of the year, it definitely will be a lush green area. But also keep in mind when you come out here, because generally when you are given housing, they want the house to be in the same condition that what they gave it to you. So to cover your butt, make sure you take photos of everything. So if you got the home and the lawn doesn't look that great, take photos to protect yourself. But with that being said, it's really nice if you've got kids, or more importantly, especially if you're trying to decide whether to live on base or to rent or to even purchase a place. If you have any questions about purchasing, got my contact information right here. But when you have pets, they do have certain pet restrictions on certain breeds. But it's way easier to either buy a place, because you can have pets if you own a place. There's different ways to get around places that aren't pet friendly. But if you rent a place, it can be really difficult. Out here, you can have dogs, cats, the pets of your choice without too much backlash. So this is a great option, having a backyard for your kids or for your pets. In Hawaii, washers and dryers are generally going to be outside or in the garage. So nice, convenient aspect to some of the on-post housing is generally the washer and dryers are going to be inside. Now, when you live on post, you generally have to buy your own washers and dryers compared to if you buy a place, usually it has one, or if you rent a place, generally it has one. So just something to keep in mind, but you do have plenty of storage, and you also have a single car garage, so we can see here. Now in the single car garage, it's actually a pretty good single car garage. I've seen a lot that you barely have enough room to even get out of the car. So you have plenty of space to get out of the car on both sides, and you have extra storage in the back. So as I mentioned before, you do have a half bath down here, which is very convenient for entertaining. And the only place of the home that actually has carpet is going to be on the stairs. You have, I believe that's laminate downstairs and upstairs by the bedrooms. We are now in the primary upstairs, and you actually have an ensuite as well as a walk-in closet and a little bit of a view of the downstairs. Again, if you want to keep an eye on your kids or the dogs. You also have 3 additional bedrooms, this being one of them. They're all pretty much the exact same size. I would say this is probably about a 12 by 12 or 12 by 10 when it comes to size. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking how much space you're gonna have in each bedroom. All right, now before we dive into some of these bomb burritos, this is just outside the gate. Make sure you check out this spot, Clout and Chewy's. But nonetheless, we wanna talk about the pros and cons of living on post. Pro number 1 would be a strong community. You're around a lot of your constituents. So you've got a lot of your friends, people you work with, all nearby, as well as a strong family community. There's lots of kids running around, which if you got kids, they've got plenty of friends just down the street. So that's a definite pro. The second pro I would say is security. You've got the gate. As you guys know, if you want to get into the gate, you got to show your military ID, or if anybody else is coming in with you, they usually have to check in or show their ID as well. So you definitely have a lot of security along with the military police cruising around, keeping everybody nice and safe. Pro number 3 would be the convenient access to on-post resources. Like we mentioned, you've got the PX, you've got the commissary, you have on-site medical, and then for enjoying yourself, we've got some pools, some wet pads, I believe they call them, or splash pads, and plenty of parks and things for the kids to enjoy. Pro number 4 is it's definitely an affordable housing option. Out here in Hawaii, it's one of the most expensive states in the nation. So finding a place to rent, even with that increased BAH, or finding a place to buy can be a bit of a challenge. So being able to live on post, although you don't get your BAH, it does give you some options where you can move right in as long as you can get on the list and actually find some housing. But it's definitely a great affordable option because utilities are included, everything's essentially included. Now with that being said, because I'm a realtor, I gotta say something here. You guys are here and have a great opportunity where you can actually buy a property and build equity and leverage that tax-free money, that BAH, while you're here and leveraging that VA loan. Again, I've got plenty of clients who have bought a property here and left with a chunk of change in their pocket because they were smart and use that VA loan paired with their BAH to pay their mortgage and then leave here or even have an investment property in Hawaii. But nonetheless, we're not going to talk too much about that. But if you do have questions, got my contact information right here. The next pro is you can avoid traffic. You're right there at work, right? So if you want to go to work, you're only gonna be literally minutes. You don't even have to go in and out of the gate. You're living at work, which is a huge pro if you don't like traffic. Okay, those are some of the pros. Let's go into the cons. So con number one would be older homes. Now there's a mix and match of types of homes, right? There's duplexes, there's townhomes, there's single family homes, and depending on which neighborhood you're in, you might be in one of the newer neighborhoods, which are absolutely gorgeous, or you might be in one of the older neighborhoods, might be more plantation style, and may just not be up to the quality that you were actually thinking when you're living on post. The next con would be limited dining and nightlife. So on base, there's not a lot of options. I mean, you got a Subway, you've got a Panda Express, you got a couple of the fast food spots, even I believe it's called 604, which is a pretty good bar and restaurant. Great Mexican food if you get outside the gate, but there isn't too much food options, but especially not that much nightlife. You're gonna have to go to town for that, which again is probably about 45 minutes. The next con would be power outages. I've heard from a lot of my clients that live on post that the power goes out all the time. Sometimes scheduled, sometimes unscheduled, but it's definitely something that you have to be used to and can be kind of a pain if you're having dinner with your family and then all of a sudden the power goes out. The next con is that you can feel a bit isolated if you just stay on base. You're out here in Hawaii, get outside the gate, go enjoy the North Shore, go to town, have a night out on the town, go to Kapolei or Eva, take it all in, go on some hikes, go diving, go fishing, go surfing, get off base. I'm telling you, you really need to soak up this once in a lifetime opportunity where you are stationed out here in Hawaii. So you can definitely feel isolated if you stay on base. The next con would be that nothing's really guaranteed. So if you want to find some on-post housing, make sure you get on the wait list because depending on the season, it could be really stacked, could be really busy, and you may be waiting for a while. And the last con would be you wouldn't be taking advantage of your VA loan and buying something out here and actually owning a property out here. You can build a lot of equity leveraging your VA loan, which is zero down. It's gonna be some of the lowest interest rates you can find on the market. And it's a one-time opportunity because it'll be your primary residence. And you could turn it into an investment property when you PCS out. So that would be the only last con, a very important one. But if you have any questions when you're trying to figure out whether I should rent off post, live on post, or buy, it's always good to have discussions to explore the pros and cons. These are just some of them, but everybody's scenario is different. I've got some clients that have 3 kids and it just doesn't make sense based on their BH to buy a place. So I tell them, hey, go rent, or more importantly, definitely live on base because you're gonna get more square footage. It's just not gonna make sense. But then I have a lot of junior enlisted or even officers that maybe are single or maybe only have 1 kid, and it makes sense for them because they're able to build wealth for their family and then leave here either with an investment property or with a chunk of change in their pocket. Okay guys, well that pretty much wraps it up. We covered a lot of information, pros and cons of living on base, maybe some things to consider when you're thinking, well, should I rent a place, should I live on post, or should I live off base? So if you guys have any questions when it comes to PCSing out here and making that decision, feel free to reach out to me. I'm Patrick with Team Roger That. Hope you guys have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you soon. Aloha.